Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So in today's video we are going to be talking about the Barcelona player ratings. So even though Barcelona did lose against Real Madrid 3-1, I'm still going to be making the ratings, and so there is going to be a lot of bad ratings within this video. I hate to make videos like this, but we're going to have to do it. And so for those of you guys who are watching me for the first time, the way that I'm going to structure this video is that I'm going to name the player, give a brief summary of what they did do against Real Madrid, and then in the end I'm going to give them a final rating. And so starting with the first player, and that is going to be Neto. So as for Neto, I think that he had a great performance. He made 2 great saves against Real Madrid. Even though Barcelona did lose 3-1, I honestly do think that it was only because of the bad defending that Barcelona did have. And I really don't want to judge this player only because of the goals that was conceded on that night. Neto did what he could. He tried the best he can. I don't even think that Ter Stegen would be able to save Barcelona's results. So as for Neto, I'm going to have to give him a 7 out of 10. Moving on to Sergino Dest. Now this is a player that actually had a standout performance. He was actually one of the best players on that night, and he understood his duties on the field, and that was to guard Vinicius Jr. That was his man, and he did not let that player breathe not once in that game. And I love the fact that we are starting to see Sergino Dest become way more disciplined as a defender by seeing how he is tracking back and covering the passing lanes. So the final rating for Sergino Dest is going to be a 8 out of 10. Moving on to Gerard Piqué, and I'm going to be so straightforward with this player. I think that he did have a very bad performance, and this is for the second time in a row, and he should really be ashamed, right? Because as a captain, you have to perform better. You cannot continue to put out these type of performances knowing that you are one of the captains of FC Barcelona. And I do have a funny feeling that he does know exactly what to do, but his body just doesn't let him, and so something does need to change on that defensive line. And unfortunately for Piqué, he has to be that player that needs to be changed or rotated, but something does need to happen, or else he is going to continue to get embarrassed throughout the whole course of this season. And so my final rating for Piqué is going to be a 5 out of 10. Moving on to Lenglet. As for this player, I think that one of the best things he does bring to the field is knowing how to recover the ball extremely well. But I am starting to see that disconnect between Piqué and Lenglet. Like, there is no communication. I feel like Piqué is trying to play his own game while Lenglet is trying to play another. But when Lenglet is put in those situations where he is on a 1v1 in his own half, he does absolutely amazing. Lenglet is going to be a Barcelona player going forward. I just really do think that one thing needs to change, and that is going to be Lenglet's partner in that starting 11. It cannot be Piqué, because I feel like with Piqué making all of these mistakes, it's giving that illusion that Lenglet is giving out a very bad performance when that is not the case. And the last thing I do want to point out about this center back is that he was in a situation where he did pull on the shirt of Sergio Ramos, and that led to a penalty for Real Madrid. And I believe because of that, even though I know that Lenglet did not start that brawl between Ramos and Lenglet, I'm going to have to give him a 6.5 out of 10. Moving on to Jordi Alba. So Jordi Alba did provide an assist in this game, giving it straight to Ansu Fati, and then Ansu Fati did score. So Alba did contribute something on the field last night. I also do believe that offensively he was very involved, but because Real Madrid did want to play on their left side, it did not allow Jordi Alba to really participate defensively. I'm not saying that he did, but it is not big enough of a sample to really judge Alba's performance defensively. The final rating for Jordi Alba is going to be a 6.5 out of 10. Moving on to Sergio Busquets, and you guys know exactly where I'm going to go with this player. I think that this is a player that does need to take a step down. Gone were the days when Ronald Koeman did say that players like Busquets and Piqué do need to take a step down. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened, and Koeman is paying the price. Busquets has also been part of the reason why that first goal was scored. Have I also blamed it on Piqué? I did, but I think that the second half of that goal was Busquets' fault. The reason why Piqué left so much space, it is because Busquets did not track back at all. So defensively, Busquets is very, very weak, but I am also going to give him one pointer, which is that he is actually one of the most progressive passers in Barcelona as of today. But as a defensive midfielder, you are supposed to know how to defend, which is going to lead me to the final rating for Busquets, and it is going to be a 6 out of 10. Moving on to Frenkie de Jong, and this player had a very good performance. I was so pleased with the way that de Jong was playing on the field, and what I find very interesting is that I do think that de Jong is in a very similar situation, just like Lenglet, meaning that the person that he is next with really does affect the other player's performance. The fact that we can't see Busquets always being there for de Jong does give that illusion that de Jong is not doing what he is supposed to be doing, and it is almost as if de Jong is taking the job of Sergio Busquets, because simply Busquets Busquets cannot handle the workload. But besides that, De Jong is a player that did show last night that he does know how to glide away from a very high press. He is a player that always finds a solution to complicated situations. And I love that. Barcelona do need defensive midfielders just like that. And at the same time, De Jong also created many chances for Barcelona in the opposition's box. So in the end, De Jong's final rating is going to be a 8 out of 10. Moving on to Philippe Coutinho. Now, unfortunately for this player, he did not play in his preferred position. Usually he does play as a central attacking midfielder, but he did play on the left wing role. And because of that, he was not able to be as effective. Was he still effective? He was, but he wasn't as effective as he usually is when he is playing in the center. But he did what he could. He tried his absolute best. He also won the most duels against Real Madrid with a total of 11. And even though he wasn't as effective like he is when he is playing in the center, he was still the main outlet of attack in those last 20 minutes when Barcelona were falling apart. So the final rating for Coutinho is going to be a 8 out of 10. And now moving on to Lionel Messi. Now first things first, Lionel Messi was actually very creative in this game, way more than what he used to do in the previous 6 matches. And that is only because he did take that central attacking midfield role. He was not playing as the number 9. But overall, Messi's performance against Real Madrid was very underwhelming. And you guys know, right? You guys know exactly why I'm saying that. We do know Messi's level, and for Messi to not perform at that level yet again for the 5th time in a row is extremely underwhelming. It even got to a point where in this game, Messi was unable to pass any player on that field. And even when he did pass a player in that game, which was against Ramos, he missed a very clear chance right in front of the goal. And now we are going to continue with this drought of Messi not being able to score an open play goal. And so I am really counting on Lionel Messi's performance going forward. We really do need that Messi back because now Messi does have a very creative midfield right behind him. Now the only thing that's left is for Messi to put these goals inside the net. We need that in order to compete against the toughest teams in Europe. But the final rating for this player against Real Madrid is going to be a 6.5 out of 10. Moving on to Ansu Fati. Now I think that many people were excited for Ansu Fati because he did get awarded the Player of the Month for September. And then adding on top of that, Ansu Fati was actually the only goal scorer for Barcelona on that night, which made him the youngest goal scorer in El Clásico ever. And I really did like what I saw with Ansu Fati. Like, he knows exactly where to position himself inside the box. Every time we do have Jordi Alba run to the corner and look for that pass, Ansu Fati is always perfectly placed on where he is supposed to be. Ansu Fati also created a total of 2 chances, and fun fact, Ansu Fati created more chances than Lionel Messi, who had 1 chance created. So the final rating for Ansu Fati is going to be a 8 out of 10. And now moving on to the final player, which is PEDRI. Now this is going to be an anomaly because he did make a surprise appearance. We were never expecting PEDRI to start against Real Madrid, but I'm going to be very honest when it comes to this player. He was not that magical player that we were all hoping for. And guess what? It's alright. It's alright that PEDRI did put out a performance like this, because when you are 17 years old and you are starting for the first time against Real Madrid, it is absolutely okay for you to perform in this way. Maybe PEDRI did feel that pressure that he had to deliver, or maybe Madrid calculated PEDRI extremely well and PEDRI was like, what the heck is going on here? This is nothing like Getafe or Celta Vigo. And so I honestly think that all of this did surprise PEDRI, and in the end, this whole thing was just all way too new for him. But I'm going to let it pass. I'm not going to completely critique PEDRI, and that is only because he is young and he is new to this Barcelona system. I know that PEDRI is going to learn from this and continue to get better going forward throughout this season. But as for this match for PEDRI, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. And then moving on to the subs, I'm not going to rate them because I think that because they were put in the 80th minute, it's not big enough of a sample to actually rate the substitutes fairly. I do believe that this also creates another conversation that Koeman should have subbed these players way before than the 80th minute. Like, if you really wanted to change something in this game and come out with a positive outcome, you could have made the substitutions around the 60th minute or maybe in the 50th minute, but not ever in those last 10 minutes. That usually never works out in Barcelona. Because when I did see Griezmann and Dembele and all of those players warming up on the 60th minute, I honestly did think that they were going to come in on the 60th minute, and I was just waiting there and I'm like, just waiting. But it never happened, and we had to wait an extra 20 minutes, and in the end, the substitutes did not do anything. And so overall, my final rating for Barcelona as a collective is going to be a 6 out of 10. I think that Barcelona is very fortunate and unfortunate to be having these type of problems this early, because yes, it is a devastating loss, but Barcelona should also be very fortunate that they are taking these losses extremely early in the season, and hopefully Koeman does learn from all of this and make this Barcelona team better as we progress into the second half of this season, because that is what defines the difference between a great team and coach and a very bad team and coach, is how are you going to react to this adversity that's currently going on within the club. But that'll be it for today's Barcelona player ratings. Let me know how you would rate each of these players, who did good, who did bad. I really do want to know. Let me know in the comment sections down below. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys in the next video.